What's up, guys? This is Freakish Workshop and welcome to Foam Crafting 101. I've been a cosplayer since about 2018. These are just a few of the cosplays that I've made out of foam. I am by no means a master foam crafter, however, I do know a few things, and what I do know, I offer to you in this series. I'm going to take you from the very beginning, tools and materials, to the very end, painting and finishing a foam project. Along the way, I will be providing tips and tricks on how to up your foam crafting game, or just simply teaching you the art of foam crafting. Regardless of where you're at, welcome. Let's get crafting. Choosing what materials you're going to use for a project and how you're going to tackle the project is incredibly important, especially in cosplay, which is a very expensive hobby just to begin with. This is why choosing your materials is so important. It really determines how much work is going to be done during construction and at the end. It's also going to determine how much money is going to go into the project itself, which we all want a project to be as cheap as possible, but also look as great in the end as possible. So here are a few tips and tricks that I use to make things cheaper, to make things easier to build, as well as easy to wield or hold or wear on a con or a photo shoot. First off, I break a project down into layers. Now, I'm going to use this sci-fi blaster as a prop and as an example. This big guy is close to 3 feet long. However, it's only a few pounds heavy, light, whatever the right term is. Anyway, what makes it so light? Because obviously it's very thick and it's very big. Well, one important factor, it's hollow. And the structure or the skeleton of the prop is entirely made out of foam board, which I've mentioned in previous videos. It's a very, very light, very stiff material that I found at a dollar store that I recommend you go play with and pick up for your next cosplay project. Now, like I said, breaking it down into layers. The skeleton, as I just mentioned, is made out of foam core, and this entire thing is hollow, which allows it to be that much lighter. Now, you're also looking at this prop and going, right, but there's different layers, there's different definitions and depths of detail. Creating the body, the next step on how I break things down, is incredibly important. That's where I use 5, 7, or even thicker foams, which is the biggest part, the main thing that people are going to see about your prop or costume piece. This can be as thick or as thin as you really like. However, I do suggest that you leave 1mm foam or anything thinner than 5mm craft foam for things like details, things that aren't minor or structural, as the lack of thickness in the foam indicates it's not going to be that structurally sound. This guy has not much 1mm detail foam going on, however there is a lot of 5mm foam detail going on, and that's because everything needs to be big and bolsterous from the IP that this prop is from. So I knew that going in. I figured out where different foams were going to be as I needed different thicknesses. You can kind of see there's a bit of a thickness difference. This can imply a couple of things. One, that the prop is a little bit more complex than it actually is, and two, make it look a bit more realistic, make it look like there are a couple of different modules or different materials being used in the construction of the prop, which is always something you want to hear when this thing is made out of dollar store materials. So anyway, those are just a few tips and tricks that I suggest you follow, or at least figure out your own versions of when making a foam project. Take your project, turn it into layers, a skeleton, a body, and a detail layer. Figure out what materials you're going to use for each. Can you make something more rigid and more structurally sound and hollow so that it's lighter and easier to wear or hold? Second of all, what's your body going to be made out of? How thick and bulky do you want your project to be? And how much detail work is going to go in? So what thickness of foam should you use for that detail layer? Again, though, I do need to stress, there is no right way to cosplay. What you feel comfortable using and doing and what you have access to is what you should pursue. And I hope you do. Thanks for popping in. Happy crafting. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more cosplay content.